This is Don Lemon. Don Lemon is a babbling idiot. If you've ever watched him, he goes through so many misstatements of facts in a row that you can barely keep up, and then you sort of eyes glaze over, and a lot of people just end up nodding in agreement with him. But we're going to run through this little clip he put together here the other day just for amusement.
You know, with everything that's going on in the White House, top aides in a screaming match over immigration, the administration trying to dodge world outrage over Jamal Khashoggi, it's no surprise that President Trump got out of Washington and headed to his happy place tonight, which is the campaign trail.
Don, in case you haven't noticed, we're heading into the midterms, and everybody is getting out of Washington to go on the road to campaign. And unfortunately for the Democrats, Donald Trump is really good at campaigning and really good at having rallies. Didn't he have a rally the other day where they had 18,000 tickets and 100,000 people tried to show up? You never mention stuff like that. All right. And as far as the Khashoggi things goes, nobody's dodging anything. They're waiting until the facts come out, something that you guys never like to do. But let's just keep going.
You know, this president loves a campaign rally near the place where it's still 2016, where he's surrounded by adoring MAGA hat wearing fans, where he's winning so much, they're getting tired of winning.
Again, Don, you ought to check the local media. You ought to check some of the economic reports. Right now, GDP growth is at 4.3%, something the previous President Obama said could never happen. Trade deals have been renegotiated with Canada and Mexico to our benefit. Manufacturing startups are at a 20-year high. Unemployment in the black community, which you as a black man should be very happy about, are at the lowest they've ever been in recorded history, while overall unemployment is the lowest they've been in 50 years. China is coming around to the negotiating table and making all kinds of gestures to fix their tariff problem, which they have, and maybe they'll stop stealing intellectual property. Wouldn't that be lovely? All right? Lots of things are going well. ISIS has been basically obliterated, but you don't like that because of the poor immigrants and other issues. And this is something that you're about to get into that just makes you look like a total a-hole.
America is winning because we are finally putting America first again. It's America first.
But back here in the real world, things are a little different, a lot different. Can you believe it was just last week that President Trump did his victory lap after getting Justice Brett Kavanaugh confirmed? That was just last week. Since then, the outrage over the disappearance and likely murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi has exploded, leaving the White House desperately trying to avoid blaming the Saudis. But that is...
What? What are you talking about? What happened in the Turkish mission run by the Saudis has nothing to do with this president. And if you've actually been watching any of the press releases or interviews at the White House, you'll see that they are standing back and saying, let's hear the Saudi explanation of it. They've sent Pompeo over there to talk to him. They're gathering the information. And since you recorded this just a couple days ago, the Saudis have fessed up to the murder. They have not tied it yet to the prince, but they've arrested 18 of their own people. 3 top officials in the Saudi government have been fired. So tell me again how anybody's dodging anything, Don? Oh, right, you don't care. You just want to talk.
Didn't stop the president from making what may be the most inappropriate joke ever. Joking about, I just mentioned this, Montana Congressman Greg Gianforte, who assaulted a reporter during his campaign last May.
Stop right here. Greg Gianforte assaulted this guy in the same way any security personnel would have assaulted him had he done the same thing in front of them. The journalist from the UK burst into, without invitation, a private interview that was being done with one of the networks and basically pushed the reporters aside and threw a question at him. The same thing happened a week and a half ago, or a week before this incident, with another UK reporter, just pushing their way in, not waiting their turn, and disrupting something that was ongoing. And Greg Gianforte got pissed. I don't blame him. And what he did to him was the same thing his security personnel would have done had they been present. Unfortunately, they were out of the room. So he took the matters into his own hands, and he apologized for it. He didn't really hurt the guy. He broke his glasses, and that was about it. It was a funny incident, and you got to get over it there, Don Lemon.
Any guy that can do a body slam, he's my kind of... He's my guy. I shouldn't say this because there's nothing to be embarrassed about. So I was in Rome with a lot of the leaders from other countries, talking about all sorts of things. And I heard about it. And we endorsed Greg very early. But I had heard that he body slammed a reporter.
So you heard the president. He's joking about an assault on a reporter.
Okay, now Don is going to try to connect that to the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, who was an enemy of the Saudi government, who had been a former insider with the Saudi old regime in Saudi Arabia, and has since aligned himself with the Muslim Brotherhood and the Erdogan of Turkey, the president of Turkey, who does not get along with the Saudis at all, and he's been speaking out against them. He's also a terrible anti-Semite and is furious in his writings, Khashoggi was, about the Saudis' overtures to Israel to try to come to some agreement on their relationship. All right? That's Khashoggi, and they killed him for it. That's how they do things in the Middle East. Don Lemon will not address that. He won't address the fact that Islamic countries assassinate and kill people who go against their rulers, especially despotic dictators like they have in most of the Muslim world. But we'll continue.
In the face of world outrage about what happened to Jamal Khashoggi.
The two are unconnected, Don. Nice try.
But there's more. The deficit at $779 billion, now the highest it's been since 2012. And the president's signature campaign promise, stopping immigration along our southern border, falling apart.
He's not stopping immigration along our southern border. He's stopping illegal immigration. And Don is about to tell you how border crossings have gone up 80%, or attempted border crossings, he should say, since July, when they changed the way they're handling people that are coming in by no longer separating families, which has in turn caused a surge in people now coming here because they know they won't be separated from their kids. But all 16,000 of the people he's about to mention are all in detention centers. So how is Donald Trump failing? Oh, he's not. But keep going, Don.
Border crossings are actually up. A record 16,685 family members arrested in September, up 80% from July. 80%.
And have they gotten into the country? No. They're arrested, Don. Think about it. Nothing has failed. The guy hasn't failed at all. He's doing exactly what he said he'd do. Continue.
That as a migrant caravan feeling instability in the Honduras makes its way north.
Wrong, Don. This is a pre-election stunt that's been very well planned, very well coordinated, coming out of Honduras, of people who want to enter the United States unlawfully. And the president will probably stop them if Mexico doesn't.
Sources telling CNN, that's why the screaming match blew up today between John Kelly and John Bolton. They also say Trump is incensed about the rising levels of migrants.
Remember, it's going to be an election of the caravan. You know what I'm talking about. As you know, I'm willing to send the military to defend our southern border if necessary.
Notice the headline at the bottom of the screen, heated shouting match over immigration. No, it's not over immigration. This is CNN just being bullshitting everybody. This is illegal immigration, illegal, against the law. But they just call it immigration because to CNN, anybody crossing our border should be here.
All caused because of the illegal immigration onslaught brought by the Democrats because they refuse to acknowledge or to change the laws.
So you heard that. The president falsely claiming that Democrats are to blame for illegal immigration and threatening today to deploy the military to...
Of course the Democrats are to blame for illegal immigration. They've done nothing to try and stop it ever. They encourage sanctuary cities all over the country. If you're against illegal immigration, you don't sanction sanctuary cities, okay? You say, no, we're not doing that. But continue. This is the great lie. I love what's coming up next.
Shut down the border. Even though the Posse Comitatus Act forbids using the military for suburban duties.
Suburban duties? Don, you're so fucking stupid. It boggles the mind. The Posse Comitatus Act does not prevent a president from using the military to stop folks from crossing our borders. It's specifically excluded from the Posse Comitatus Act, actually. And if you go and look it up, even Wikipedia has it, okay? A president can use the military to stop foreigners from invading our country. And that's exactly what this is. The act was put in place to prevent leaders in one state from using the military to fight people in another state. This is not, domestic or anything else. This is border crossings by illegals.
Military bases. The president is tougher on immigrants than he is on Saudi Arabia.
He's tougher on illegal immigrants, Don. Illegal, unlawful entrance into our country. As far as Saudi Arabia goes, he hasn't decided what he's going to do yet because not all the facts are known.
With the Saudis, he's leading from behind. Actually, leading from behind would be a step up. It's no kind of leadership at all to give the Saudis a few more days to investigate what happened to...
Right. He should jump to conclusions and just put out sanctions, maybe start a fucking war with them over this. All right? They executed a guy who they viewed as a traitor that was wanted by the Saudi government. To compare that to the president's stand on illegal immigration is just absurd. But you make it sound logical.
Jamal Khashoggi.
I told President Trump this morning that we ought to give them a few more days to complete that so that we too have a complete understanding of the facts surrounding that.
And what kind of immigration is run by the very people you suspect of being involved in the crime?
What? What kind of immigration is involved with investigating people you are accusing of a crime? What? Don, that didn't even make sense. Let's go back and play that again.
A complete understanding of the facts surrounding that.
And what kind of immigration is run by the very people you suspect of being involved in the crime?
That made absolutely no sense, Don. But your viewers don't expect you to, so let's just keep going.
We're waiting for some investigations and waiting for the results, and we'll have them very soon.
So sources are telling CNN that Jared Kushner, advising the president to go slowly, has also reminded him that the U.S. partners with less than savory regimes around the world, not just the Saudis. That kind of whataboutism is not leadership.
What? Don, you're starting to make no sense. Maybe you've had a few drinks before the show tonight. But Jared Kushner has a relationship with the Saudi prince. He's been working with them on a variety of issues, a lot of them to do with Israel in particular, and making a peace deal with them. And he's telling him to go easily or go slowly until all the facts are known. Isn't that what it's about?
But this president wants you to see him as a leader who can carry the entire GOP on his coattails.
I'm not on the ticket, but Congress is on the ticket. And I try and tell my people that's the same thing as me, in a sense. That's the same thing. Think of it as the same thing as me.
Yet he also says this.
So let's say we have a really bad time in 3 weeks from now. If they don't go out and vote, then they have themselves to blame.
Heads, I win. Tails, you lose.
No, Don, that isn't what he said. Again, you're just so full of shit. What he said was, if Republicans don't get out and vote and keep the House intact and the Senate intact, things will change. And they won't change for the better. And if you want things to remain the way they are, get out and vote. Otherwise, you have no one to blame but yourself. This is the same thing that Democrats were saying after the 2016 election, when a lot of Democrats didn't get out and vote. Voter turnout was only 53 or 54% of eligible voters across the country, and Hillary Clinton lost. And Don, you were one of the very first people to come out and blame Democrats. Did you forget that?
If the GOP goes down to defeat in the midterms, this president won't take the blame.
And last time around, you said if the Democrats go down, it's the fault of the voters. And did Hillary Clinton take the blame for losing? No, she didn't. She blamed white women. Said their husbands told them how to vote. You're just ridiculous.